Terrific Tuesday. How are we doing, everybody? We're back with my man, and the man and the host of this hour, Sammy, the man McIntyre, with Moving the Chains podcast. Still got to work on how I can do that and incorporate it. How are we doing? We are back. Doubleheader last night. Kind of snore-fest games, but I got to talk about it. Jets, Dolphins, Jets. Oh, my God. Jesus Christ. God help us. Same shit. And Miami wins. Tim Brooks and a bunch of my Dolphin fans out there, but you lost Tyreek Hill, and that's kind of not great. And a lot of these injuries, man, every week it's like they're just dropping like flies. I don't get it. I kind of have some reasonings for it, but I don't know. So let me start with this. So the Jets lost last night 27-21. This is their 10th straight loss to the Dolphins. Last time the Jets won, I was a senior in high school. That was 11 years ago. Last time they beat the Dolphins. I look at the stat today. Geno Smith was the quarterback for the Jets, second year in the league. And Ryan Tannehill was the quarterback. He was the quarterback. Wow, so the time has passed when the Jets last won. Let me say this with the Jets. Listen, they play hard every game. Outside the Bills game, where you can just see Buffalo is just a much better football team than the Jets. I will say this with the Jets. My whole life, this has never been a talent issue with the Jets. This has been a ownership, big picture problem. Woody Johnson's impulsive. They're very patient to their players and the coaches. They had Robert Saleh for 3 years, didn't have a great record, in over his head. And then last year, you finally decided, well, we're 3-2. You know, I think you were, you were 2-3, or 3-2. I can't remember the record. My brain's foggy. But you could have won that game. And if you beaten Buffalo, you would have been in first place. But you fired him. It doesn't make any sense. And they keep screwing up the GMs. They keep screwing up the coaches. They keep screwing up the quarterback. Doesn't matter what the Jets do. If your ownership up top is shitty, the bottom's going to be shitty. And that's what the Jets are. Listen, Justin Fields is what he is. He's a highlight guy. He's just not. He is what he is. He shows flashes, he shows moments, but you can't win consistently with him. And listen, I'm watching last night. The Jets are just running it down the Dolphins' throat. They're kicking their ass. They're doing this. They're doing that. Jumbo formations are putting 6 linemen in there. I'm like, is this Detroit football with the Jets? Because that's what I saw last night. The offensive line. You know, the Jets have put resources in it. I like Joe Tippmann, Wisconsin Badger, 260 representing Fort Wayne. Who's the kid? Vashanu from Penn State, and then you got this Membu kid from Missouri. You got offensive line really ready to go. And I know what Eric Levin's doing. He wants to run the football, pound it, ground it, like Rex Ryan did with those 2 AFC championship games, those teams. I saw the blueprint. But last night, they got away from that again. I don't know what this Tanner, whatever his name is, but what are the Jets? What are they? Their defense out of position. They just got fooled so many times last night on the bootlegs and everything else. And I'm watching this team, and I don't know what the Jets do from here. Because they should get a win. They should have against Tampa, but my guy Baker pulled it out of his ass. They had against Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers won. I just don't know what the Jets. I just feel bad for them. Like, I said this last year, like the East Coast version of the Raiders. Like, they've always had talent, but the ownership's been so shitty that you never know. And that's kind of what I feel with the Jets. And, and this is not a talent issue. They have talent on that roster. Sauce Gardner, to me, is getting a little overrated for my take. He's getting a little handsy. Something he's a really good player, but you paid him. I like Quinn Williams a lot, but what has he been the last couple of years? I haven't seen the impact. So I look at this Jets team and I go, what is their secret sauce? Like, what are they built on? And they're just kind of a talented mess right now. And I don't know. Can the Jets get a win? Can they get a couple wins? I'm sure they can. But right now, what I'm watching is a shit show. And this is the Raiders. They're the Raiders of the East Coast. And you know what? I'm starting to think, because I heard this comment today, There's too many chefs in the kitchen upstairs. I think they're kind of turning into the Cowboys AFC. Call me crazy. Now, Dallas is much better than the Jets, but in terms of how, the owner's impulsive, they underachieve a lot, big fan base, big glamour cities, Dallas, New York. I kind of see it. So, I don't know. Let me start with this. So, Dolphins won. I got on the Jets side, so I just want to reiterate. Jets, they got a long way to go. Same shit, different day. I will say this with the Dolphins. I am not the biggest Mike McDaniel fan. I know he's smart. I know he went to Yale. Dan Soder, the comedian, who I've kind of gotten to know a little bit. He's really funny. He does a really good macho man. Yeah, you got Boomsaw. I got you for 3 minutes. Spider-Man, the first one. So, he does a really good impression of that. So let me say this. I like Mike McDaniel a lot. I like his play calling. I like the design of it. I just wish Miami was more physical. That's the only knock I have on his teams. Because I think what he thought was, hey, I'm going to go take my San Francisco shit, go down to Miami, but there's one caveat. Niners are physical. Now, maybe too physical because they're having guys hurt, but they're a physical football team. You can't fake tough. You can't. You're either a tough guy or you're not in football. And when I watch Dolphins, they are soft as Charmin tissue paper. They are. And last night, to me, they pushed the Jets around. Now, the Jets pushed the Dolphins around for like half that game because I was flipping back and forth between the Bronco game and the Dolphin game. And I'll get to the Broncos later. But I was watching last night, and I sat back and I went, this is the Miami Dolphins that I've seen with Mike McDaniel. The creativity, the clever, the eye candy. Your eyes are moving. Oh, my God, where are we? Bing, 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 bing. Where are we going? You think it's in the backfield, then boop, out the backfield and gone with Tyreek Hill and all that stuff. That was an ugly injury last night for Tyreek Hill. It could be an Alex Smith kind of injury. He's one of my favorite players. One of the best deep threats I've ever seen in my life. Probably in the game. Him with Mahomes was so magic early on. I saw him out in Oakland once. Really, didn't do much in that game, but just his speed and his fear factor in defenses really took you apart. And I remember last year, Bucky Brooks was down on the field. He does the Jaguar play-by-play. And he was talking about the Dolphins like pregame, right? Because when you're doing like the play-by-play stuff, you can kind of see on the field. And he said they're a 4-1 team. And they are. But I don't love this offensive line. The problem with Miami, and this is the crazy part, because I saw this stat today too. The Dolphins win 60% of the games, 7, 8, 9 wins. That's their ceiling. But they're so loyal to people that are average. And that was the main topic I had today. Listening to that today. I think it was Cowher that said it, but I agree with him on that. Because I'm looking at, okay, let's start with Tua. Okay, nice kid, good arm, average. Okay, average athleticism, average arm. Okay, works in Miami when the weather's great. Hey, if you want to go places in the AFC, you got to go outdoors. Okay? You got to go play Baltimore, Kansas City, Buffalo, and Cincinnati. Those are cold. Those are shitty weather. It gets bad. Okay? Pittsburgh, sometimes. So that's just not going to work. And then there's offensive line's awful. And then I'm looking around, and I just, so Tua got a big extension. Okay. Shouldn't have. But you did. So you were loyal to the average people. Tyreek Hill, would have traded him a year ago. He's cancer. Get him out of the locker room. Nope. Kept him. Tyreek Hill, the one the same ones bitching and moaning about Tua and Tyreek and Mike McDaniel, all that stuff, still there. Chris Greer, he gets a free pass, man. Jesus, like Trent Baalke. I mean, this guy, he's like a con artist. I mean, how many picks has he whiffed? This offensive line's awful. Their defense sucks. It's a shit show. But I sit back and I go, Miami's not as bad as people think. But they are what they are. They just are. Now listen, I fall for the cool shit. I did with that offense 2 years ago when it was lighting up the scoreboard. When they put up 70 against Denver and it was the greatest show on surf. That was a cool nickname, little twist on it. Greatest show on turf. I thought that was clever. And that's what my McDaniel is. And I'm watching last night. He was 2 steps ahead of Aaron Glenn on that defense last night. Because Jets got dudes. This is not a bad defense with the Jets. They have players. But last night, you saw the misdirection. You saw the counters. You saw them run the football. They got a really good 2-headed backfield with Devin Etienne and Ollie Gordon from Oklahoma State, who's a stud. I liked him coming out of Oklahoma State. So you have pieces on the offense side of the ball. But with this team, I don't know moving forward what you do. Because to me, if I'm the Dolphins, I detonate and blow this sucker off its trajectory. I blow it up and start over. But you can't because you're tied into Tua. You're tied into Mike McDaniel. I think they're going to give him an extension. I don't know. Would I do it? Probably not. But this is what the Dolphins do. They're loyal to the average people. That's what happens. So, good win for Miami. It's just sad that Tyreek's out. Now can Jalen Waddle step up and be that guy? Because he's always been a 1A, 1B with Tyreek Hill there and form one of the best duos in the game. But now I need to see that next level. Can he continue it? And I did like last night, the other point I wanted to point out before I end this was 17% of 17 snaps of Tua was under center last night. They were not out of the gun, quick, bang, go. So I was appreciative of that. So just to recap, Jets, same shit, different year. Miami winning, but some concerns moving forward. So I did watch the other game last night. My brother was elated. Denver won last night. Doesn't help my Raiders, but that's a whole nother story. Tune in tomorrow because I got a mouthful to talk about. It's not great. I will say this I'm going to go touch on the Bengals first. That was pathetic last night. Where have they been? How the hell are they 2-1? I don't know how. They barely squeaked by against Cleveland. Listen, Cleveland's defense, no joke. I think they're one of the worst teams in the league. But I think Cleveland's defense is going to keep them in games, but at some point, they're going to get tired and give up points. Because your O has got to do more. So they beat them. They beat Jacksonville. And, yeah, the Bengals, it's so bad Burrow got hurt last night. And listen, Bo Nix, Joe Burrow versus Bo Nix would have been a great game last night, and the ratings probably would have gone through the roof. Here's the problem with the Bengals. They've tied all their soul into Joe Burrow. And listen, rightfully so, he's one of the best quarterbacks in football. He's elite, and he's dethroned Mahomes, and he can do it. However, this Bengal team, I don't like how they're constructed. They're kind of remind me of Miami. They're putting all their money on the perimeter, which you do need receivers, no doubt. But I go back to this. I will say this till my grave. You need offensive line and D-line. That's how you win, and that's how you get physical throughout the season. And the Miami Dolphins do not do that, neither do the Bengals. They just look lifeless last night. And Zach Taylor may be a nice guy. I don't know. And he's solid, but I don't know, man. I look at Joe Burrow. He should pull a Carson Palmer and just say, get me out of here. Get me out of here. Come on. Like, how many more years am I going to carry this franchise? Our offensive line sucks. Our defense is average as days long, giving up chunks. Bad tackling. But again, they did this to themselves, Cincinnati. You had a choice to get rid of T. Higgins, but they wanted to keep him. So, I don't know. But going to Cincinnati, it's bad news, man. They got to get their work cut out for them, and they got to get this right in a hurry because it's not going to get easy. You got to show some fight before Joe Burrow gets back in 3 months because you cannot keep performing like you have the last 2 weeks, getting blown out in Minnesota and then going out to Denver and getting smacked on national television and getting curb stomped and stunnered. Yeah. Because they did last night. But I want to switch over to Denver. Okay. So listen, I'm not shocked that Denver's pretty good right now. And they are. And listen, I am a Raider fan to my core. And I hate the Broncos. But I give credit where credit's due. Last year when they beat us twice in the regular season, I gave them props. I have. And this roster's really, really good. And listen, Bo Nix is solid. Is he ever going to be an elite guy? No. But I think with this coach, with this system, and with the weapons that they have, it reminds me a lot of the Saints with Sean Payton. Big physical receivers, nice tight ends, solid offensive line. Defense, got a lot of good dudes on it. They fly around. They lead the league in sacks. This is the second year in a row they've done that. We're early in the season. They're probably going to lead it again. Nick Bonito, Jonathan Cooper. They just got dudes everywhere. I mean, I look up. Pat Surtain's locking down Jamar Chase going back to his days at Alabama. It's just galore. I mean, Pat Surtain is the best corner in football. I'm saying it right now. And he is. And I remember Devontae had issues with him. Jamar Chase had issues with him going back to the LSU Bama days. Pat Surtain went to Alabama. So to me, Denver's got a lot of qualities I really like. Now, are they a Super Bowl team? I don't know. You still got to go through Kansas City. Chargers, we'll see. I know Jackson's always banging on them, and I get it. But you got Herbert, you got Harbaugh. And now, it's kind of harder now because both tackles are out and whatever. You got to figure that out. But I will say this. Denver, I'm impressed. Because, listen, Sean Payton might not be everybody's cup of tea, okay? He's got a little Parcells in him, a little Gruden, tough, rough, Chucky, the snarl. But Bo Nix can bark, and Sean Payton barks back at him. And they kind of have that competitive, fiery stuff. He's a son of a coach. He gets it. The other thing that I noticed last night was they ran the football well. They got really good backs. Bo Nix, the one thing I'm impressed with him is everybody in this league now, and I say this like, I was thinking about this tonight, like Penix and Bo Nix to me are down the field guys, right? Now, Bo Nix has got a better than average arm. Better than I thought. Because it's strong. And he's throwing rifles in there. He doesn't care. He's got a little Favre in him. Baker. I'm going to throw that ball where 3 people are there. I don't give a shit. And I appreciate that. In a day and age where these quarterbacks are doing the dink-dunk, dinkity-dunk, you can make a song out of it, he's throwing the ball down the field, he's pushing it. And I think him and Penix remind me of the same. Now, Bo Nix didn't have the injury concerns of Penix, but I see the similar stuff. Deep ball, they love to stretch that field down the middle. I do think Penix is getting held back. I mentioned this before because of the personnel in Atlanta not being the bombs away type approach that they need for him to succeed. That's what Michael Penix is. He's a better version of Tua, and he could sit back foot and sling that pill on the in routes and all that stuff, but he's a down-the-field thrower. He did it at Washington with Rome and all those guys. So, I am impressed with Denver. And last night was glaring. The one team has got really fight in them, and the other team has quit on their season. So, there you go. I think Bengals, to me, bad news. It's a shit show. If I'm Joe Burrow, I request a trade. Pull Carson Palmer. And for the Broncos, I'm impressed. I hate saying it. I'm a Raider fan. I wanted them to lose last night. But I give credit where credit's due. So, stay tuned throughout the week. I got more content coming out before I go down to Indy to go see the Raiders play the Colts. Stay tuned. I hope you guys are doing well. Terrific Tuesday. Adios. Godspeed.